And welcome to In the 661 Youth Voices for Kern, where we talk about topics that are affecting our community at large, but also topics specifically that really impact the kids in our community and the youth in our community. Chyna Patz is a 16-year-old West High School student. That's what I'm looking at in my notes here, and also a youth journalist for South Kern Soul. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You're also an activist in the LGBTQ community. Tell me about how that came to be and why.
It started when I went to the GSA at my high school. And
Can you explain what GSA is for everyone who may not know what that is?
A GSA is a Gay Straight Alliance. It's a club that brings LGBT and LGBT folk and allies together to help better the school. So I went there freshman year, and then an advisor had come in and talked with us and was like, oh, there's this really cool opportunity for, what would you call it? It was
outreach, or?
Like it was an outreach.
Mm-hmm.
And so they invited a bunch of youth to come in and talk and listen to what the Dolores Huerta Foundation had to say. And so I went there and found the Teens for Equality program and joined in on that.
What is it like at West High School, and why do you think that there was kind of some need for change there? I'm understanding that you're working with some of the members of administration there.
Mm-hmm. I had been just simply walking around campus since freshman year, and every other day or every day during passing periods, students would come past me and make fun of me and call me some very rude things. And then this year I had been walking, and a student had shoved me down to the ground and started being very rude and wasn't apologetic at all, and he just made fun of me, and it made me feel really bad about myself, and I had to go home and talk with my mom about it, and that was the final straw. So
was it bullying in general, or was it because specific to sexual orientation?
It was mostly sexual orientation. That's what people came at me for, because I'm the vice president at the GSA at my school. So they knew that, and so that's what usually came up when they were targeting me.
Is it a tough thing for LGBTQ youth to be growing up in Kern County as opposed to, say, other areas of California or other areas of the nation, or is it similar in some ways too?
From personal experience, it's similar. I think every LGBT youth has their ups and downs and has their own issues, but I feel like in general, Kern County could definitely step it up on their bullying awareness.
So do you feel it's a widespread problem throughout all the high schools?
Yes.
How do we start tackling that problem?
Awareness, educating people that it's not okay. What people are what students are saying to other students is causing more than just mental harm now. Now it's physical harm, and now it's causing them to feel like they're not worth anything, which is not something that needs to be, it's something that needs to be addressed, and just educating them on the repercussions of what would happen if you were to say something rude to them could probably help.
What was the administration's response to you in particular at West High School? Did they create new programs, new outreach, new anti-bullying campaigns?
Yes, they had started they already had a bullying box, but it was up in the office, and so. What
is a bullying box for those who may
A
not know?
bullying box is when students will come in and they will fill out a little anonymous report saying this is what's going on, this happened to me, and this is who did it, and so they'd put it into the box and it'd be addressed. So they already had it, but it was up in the office, and nobody ever wanted to go into the office to put it in there. So they put it over in the library, because students are always going in and out of the library.
Neutral ground, you can be a little more anonymous doing that way.
Exactly.
Okay. And what has been the response since then? Has there been more complaints and more complaints addressed because of that?
Yes. I've had friends of mine, and I myself have used the box, and I feel like it's a good step forward.
How do we change the mindset, though, so that the bullying doesn't happen at all, that people don't need a bullying box to begin with in Kern County?
Educating them. I feel like that's the number one thing, is youth don't know that it's an issue. After the first assembly that was done at West, I had students in my next period class talking about how bullying isn't even a thing, and so they don't know what's going on. And so I feel like it needs to be like common knowledge. It needs to be known that it's happening around you. It's happening.
It's hard to gauge, I know for you probably, but for other generations, right, when you talk about a generational thing, is bullying getting worse? Do you think, is it worse today than it was, say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
I don't think so. I think it's just been more commonly known. Like, it's being more addressed than it has been in the past. Like, in the past, it was like, oh, you gotta just buck up, you know? But, like, now students are just, they don't wanna.
Well, now we have social media, it seems like. I mean,
Yeah.
20 years ago, you couldn't bully somebody on Facebook or
Yeah.
Snapchat or Instagram, but now there's other avenues, it seems like, where people can be mean to each other and sit anonymously behind a keyboard and say things about people, even if you're not doing it face-to-face or in school.
Yeah, there are like new ways of bullying, and I think that is accurate to say that it has gotten like more known, and it's easier to do than it was in the past.
So what's next? I mean, how can a school start tackling that issue, the stuff that doesn't happen on their campus but happens off campus, which potentially could be just as harmful as any other bullying?
I don't think that there's much that they can do other than just like educating again, like, because you can't control what somebody does on social media, like, other than reporting and blocking them. But if you were to like tell them, oh, if you say these things to some people while they're at home, they have a higher chance of, say, like doing something that they like really like drastic that they wouldn't normally do and wouldn't be able to do at school. So.
And what's your next step now that you kind of have started addressing this? Is this something that you feel like a program you can grow to other schools, to address bullying in other schools?
Yeah, that was my main goal for writing the anti-bullying piece, was to try and convince other schools to pay more attention to the bullying that's going on their campuses.
So you felt strong enough that as a journalist you wanted to cover that story and let people know about it?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chyna, and we'll continue to follow the things that you're doing in
Thank
our
you.
community. And thank you for joining us on In the 661 Youth Voices for Kern.